Could it be? But me, your man, Louie T, welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. The command core continues as we go through each core group of this commander's roster heading into training camp. We've knocked down several positions already: offensive line, defensive line, cornerbacks. That might have surprised you where I had them ranked among the division, conference, and NFL as a whole. But I really believe in that group this season. Again, based off of health, of course, and the coaches that will be coaching them, and this being their forte, or that position rather being their forte. So very high on the cornerbacks, as well as the position we're going to talk about today. This one is no surprise. We're talking about the quarterback position. I love the quarterback room the Commanders will be sporting this season. Now, I've talked about this, and a lot of you have shot me down. And again, it's not a big deal. I mean, we're literally splitting hairs about the third quarterback on the roster. Who cares, right? I care. But that's the only controversy that may exist. And I don't even know if that's a controversy. I don't think that's a good term to use when talking about what they will decide to do on the back end of their quarterback room. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead to the quarterback position in 2025. And before we can do that, let's take a look at what they did a season ago at the quarterback position. They kept three quarterbacks, all on the roster. You know, the new rule that they have now with this rule has been instituted now for 2 years, since the 2022 playoffs, where the 49ers had all their quarterbacks injured against the Philadelphia Eagles. And so they've instituted a rule that's been in place now for 3 years, where if you keep three quarterbacks on your roster, that third quarterback is allowed to be your emergency quarterback on game days, even if they're not a part of the active game day roster. They just have to be on your roster. So it's to me, it behooves you to keep three quarterbacks just based off of that, especially when you have a mobile quarterback. Really, your first two quarterbacks are mobile quarterbacks. You really want to have that third quarterback be there on game day. So if you're the Commanders, I think it's a must that you keep three quarterbacks. They did that last year. Jaden Daniels, obviously, Marcus Mariota last year, and Jeff Driscoll was the third quarterback of that group a season ago. And then you had Sam Hartman there on the practice squad as well. I think it's going to look a lot similar this year. The question, and I've talked about this, are they comfortable enough with Sam Hartman to be their third quarterback, or do they keep Josh Johnson here as QB3? Hartman goes to the practice squad once again. That's something that I see happening again. The question is, how comfortable are they with Sam Hartman? That's all it really boils down to with this positional group. There's really no other questions. We know what Jaden Daniels is. We know what Marcus Mariota is. We love both of those guys. Marcus Mariota proved his worth to us as a fan base last year when he was thrusted into service twice. He was phenomenal twice. So we have the utmost confidence in him. And I would tell you that we probably got one of the best backup quarterback situations in the entire NFL. And that's just not me saying that being a biased Commanders fan. I'm just talking about off of the pedigree that is Marcus Mariota. This is a guy that's been a long-time starter in this league. This is a guy that has won a playoff game. How many teams have a backup quarterback that they can say actually won an NFL playoff game as a starter? This is the former number 2 overall pick in the 2015 NFL draft. Again, not many teams can say that they've got this guy backing up their starting quarterback. So this is a really good room featuring last year's Offensive Rookie of the Year. And then you've got the number 2 pick in the 2024 NFL draft. And then you got the 2015 number 2 overall pick in the number 2 pick in the 2015 NFL draft, backing that guy up. And we know how we feel about Jaden Daniels. So, and Josh Johnson, whether it's him or Hartman, you know, if it's Johnson, you feel good about him just off of his track record of how many teams he's been on, how smart he is, you know, a wily veteran, a guy that has shown the ability. Hell, we know as Commanders fans, if you've been around long enough, he played here, won his first career game as a starter here, right? He had started probably 9, 10, 11 games previous to the one he started here in Washington and got his first career start or his first career victory as a starter in the NFL after years and years of not winning, right? So we know what Josh Johnson is capable of. So you got to like this room a lot. So much so, let's go through the rankings. I think the I've already talked to you about what I think is going to be the one competition here, and that's the third quarterback position. If you are the Commanders, I think Josh Johnson, as long as he hasn't shown you any drop off, you feel more comfortable with him as QB3. Because if you cut him, more likely than not, he's going to end up on another NFL roster. So um, you probably want to keep him on the roster. If you cut Sam Hartman, he's not going anywhere. He'll be on the practice squad, and I think that's what they'll move forward with. And then maybe next year, Hartman will be ready to be QB3, maybe even QB2, because how much longer can you keep Marcus Mariota around, right? You know, he was looking to leave this past year if an opportunity to start would have come about, but it didn't, and so he decided to come back. But again, there's no guarantee that he'll want to do this again next year. There's no guarantee that he won't get an opportunity to start next year. He probably won't. But again, you don't know what the landscape of that position will be and how Marcus Mariota will fit into it. So you can't assume that Marcus is going to be here past this year. So maybe Sam Hartman's ready next year. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe they'll never be comfortable enough with Sam Hartman to have him be QB2, maybe only QB3. Again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But looking at this positional group, I feel so good about it. I can't speak for you guys out there, but I myself feel extraordinary about this group. It's the best I've felt about the quarterback position here in Washington in quite some time. I mean, probably ever. Honestly, what am I saying? Ever, right? Because we've never had a quarterback like this before. You probably got to go back to the older generation of fans who saw Joe Theismann win an MVP to feel as confident as you're feeling about the quarterback position here in Washington. And you probably have to go all the way back to the early 80s with Joe Theismann to feel this good about the quarterback position. You couldn't have felt this good about the position with Robert Griffin III in 2012. He was coming off of a knee injury in 2013. He was never the same guy after that rookie season. Kirk Cousins inspired hope, but he never won over this fan base completely because they didn't think he could get it done in critical situations. So, and you never loved the backups ever, whether it was when Robert will, well, that's probably the last time. If you talk about the totality of the room, Kirk Cousins backing up Robert Griffin III, and we didn't know that Kirk was that good then. We didn't know. We saw flashes in 2012 when he came in against Baltimore and started against Cleveland. So we thought, but then remember when he had to play in some games, he was awful at times, right? Remember, in 2014, he wasn't good. But he got the opportunity in 2015, and he didn't start well. And it was the Cold Red game, and everybody was going to get fired and benched, including Kirk. And then we all know what happened in that epic Tampa Bay comeback, so forth and so forth. But to hell with all of that. Where does this group of quarterbacks in 2025 rank in the division? Oh, this is a no-brainer. It's the best quarterback room in the division. I don't even think it's close. If you look at the starters and you want to compare the starters, okay, that might be a close competition and a conversation worth having. I don't. I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He's not on the level of a Jaden Daniels, and neither is Dak Prescott nor Russell Wilson. Maybe Russell Wilson once upon a time, but that time is come and gone. All right, we know what Russell Wilson is as a quarterback now, and so Jaden Daniels is by far and away the best quarterback in this division. And then you look at the backups; nobody's even remotely close to us in that department. Can you name the Eagles' backup quarterback? I don't even know if they know who their backup quarterback is. They traded for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Maybe he's the new backup, or maybe it's still Tanner McKee. I don't know. I don't care, right? Dallas's backup situation is a mess. We had people talking about Joe Milton potentially taking Dak Prescott's job. That's some nasty work, by the way. And then in the Giants, they got the number 1 pick. That's kind of, funny to talk about. We got the number 2 pick from the 2015 draft. They got the number 1 pick from the 2015 draft, backing up their starter. But again, no one else in the division has a backup quarterback that has started and won a playoff game. Nobody. That's just us. We got the best quarterback room in the division. Probably could have just said that off the strength of Jaden Daniels. But then you go to the backup quarterback situation, and nobody's better, right? You don't trust a backup in this division more so than Marcus Mariota. And I'll say you don't trust a backup quarterback in this league more so than Marcus Mariota. You've got some other teams that might have something to say about that, but let's continue on. In the conference, who's better than the Commanders? I've already said this. We got the best quarterback in the conference. I've said that before. This is not the first time you've heard me say this. So just off the strength of that alone, we're out in front. But then you go to the backup situation with Marcus Mariota, and I'm feel like I'm an echo chamber here. I'm saying the same thing over and over again. Who has what we have at the backup quarterback position? Nobody, right? Now, there are two teams that I'm listening. You're not going to change my mind, but I'm listening. My ears are open. The Los Angeles Rams with Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, Stafford and Jaden are close enough in where they rank that I'm listening because Jimmy Garoppolo has played in a Super Bowl, has started, won playoff games. Again, how much of that was Jimmy Garoppolo? How much was that the run game, the defense, etc., the entire team that was around Jimmy Garoppolo? That's debatable, right? That's debatable. But he started playoff games, won them, and played and started in the Super Bowl. I have to put respect on Jimmy Garoppolo's name. And if something happens to Matthew Stafford, while they're probably not going to do much of anything if they make it, their season isn't done. They could still make it to the playoffs with Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback. Highly unlikely, but your season's not absolutely dead like most teams in the league if their starter goes down. Atlanta Falcons. We don't know how good Michael Penix Jr. is. I think he's going to be really good, but we don't know that yet, right? So obviously the Falcons aren't in our class because Jaden has already taken that step that Michael Penix hopes to take this year. Jaden's already done that. So there's a gap there, but nobody has a backup quarterback like Kirk Cousins. I mean, what are we talking about? And I am probably in a minority here, but I still think Kirk has good football left in him. Starting caliber football left in him. Last year was bad. He was not healthy. You could see it. I think he's fully healthy now. I think he's ready to play football, but it's too late. The damage is done. And so, but if something happens to Michael Penix, the Falcons still have a chance to make the playoffs and do damage. There's not many teams that can say that in the league. So if you wanted to have a Falcons conversation, I'm listening. I still think our room is better because of Jaden's presence, but you're not going to find a better backup quarterback in the league than Kirk Cousins. So there's that. But I'm still taking our guys. So we're number one in the conference as well. Then you go to the league and you expand it to the AFC as well. And I've got us third in the entire National Football League from a quarterback room perspective. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that Jaden's the third best quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying quarterback room, right? So that also has to take into consideration the other guys that are in your quarterback room. For instance, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Jaden Daniels. Now, I wouldn't trade Jaden Daniels for Josh Allen. I like my guy more, but just off the strength of who Josh Allen is, his body of work, the reigning league MVP, he's better than Jaden Daniels at this current juncture. But I don't want Mitchell Trubisky starting for me if something happens to Jaden Daniels, which is the situation that the Bills find themselves in if anything were to happen to Josh Allen. I'm good. Thanks. I'll take my Marcus Mariota. Just fine. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, same deal. He's better than Jaden Daniels at this current juncture. He's played in a Super Bowl, right? He won the Heisman Trophy, right? He's done a lot of the things that Jaden has done. He's taking a downtrodden franchise and made them relevant, just like Jaden has done. His body of work speaks for itself when healthy. But I don't want Jake Browning starting for me if something were to happen to my quarterback. That's the situation the Bengals find themselves in. So those quarterback rooms are not better than Washington's. However, there are two teams that meet the criteria: the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. First of all, if you want to be in the conversation with us, you got to have one of them ones at quarterback or someone very close to it, right? Because if you can't close that gap with your starter on our guy, or your guy is better than our guy currently, then the conversation is you're already at a disadvantage. You're already at a deficit. So it's going to be one of these teams with one of them ones at quarterback. So the Chiefs have Mahomes. He's the best in the league. Hands down, no questions asked. And his backup, Gardner Minshew, has proven that he can win football games in this league. So the drop off from Mariota or the comparison of Mariota to Minshew is very close. I don't love Gardner Minshew, but I do know this: when he comes in the game, something's going to happen, whether good or bad. And that's my criteria for a backup quarterback, right? Is that when he comes in the game, something's going to happen. Might not benefit your team, but something's going to happen. And you want it to be the good thing. Part of being a backup, and the reason that these guys are backups is because they're very volatile. The consistency isn't there. That's the definition of a backup quarterback. So I'm hoping you come in and you give us a spark, like Mariota did twice last season, right? Minshew is good enough to give the Chiefs a spark. If Mahomes, for some reason, is out for 3 weeks, Gardner Minshew can come in and go 2-1. If we've seen Mahomes go out of playoff games and they needed somebody to step in and keep them afloat, Gardner Minshew can do that. He's a good enough NFL backup. And then in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson. We already know he's one of them ones. And I thought they had one of the most underrated moves of the entire offseason by adding the Dallas Cowboys former backup quarterback, Cooper Rush. Like, their styles aren't the same. I always liked when Baltimore had like a Tyler Huntley or someone like that backing up Lamar, because you felt like you could do a lot of the same things. You're not going to be able to do those things with Cooper Rush. But Cooper Rush has proven that when Dak Prescott is out, he was able to come in and give them a fighting chance. Hell, even last year when that season was tanking and it was going in the wrong direction, he helped stop that slide. They weren't good when Dak Prescott. This is what people fail to realize. And it's almost like people have this false recollection of what the Cowboys were. Like, oh yeah, our season went down the drain. No, your season was already going down the drain when Dak Prescott got hurt. You guys were awful. Cooper Rush came in and he sort of stabilized things. And it's not the first time he's done that. You can do a lot worse at the quarterback position from a backup standpoint than Cooper Rush. That's a good move for Baltimore. A really good move. And I think it really strengthens their quarterback room. So the Ravens and the Chiefs are ahead of us. And then the Commanders come in at third. And I like where we sit right now. Again, I'll take Marcus Mariota over anybody's backup quarterback in the league except for the Falcons. And Kirk Cousins is the best backup, hands down, not even close in the league right now. Also the highest paid, too. But who's keeping count, right? The Atlanta Falcons are. But I digress. So, first in the division, first in the conference. Those shouldn't be a surprise to you. Third in the league, and you could argue we're still first in the league. I'm not willing to do that because I think there's enough of a gap between those MVPs in Mahomes and Jackson, and from our starter, Jaden Daniels. There's enough of a gap. Plus, there isn't that big of a gap between how I feel about Marcus Mariota and how I feel about Gardner Minshew and Cooper Rush. So I think they have the slight edge, but not by much. What says you? Leave it down in the comment section. This is as confident as I've been in a group of quarterbacks in Washington in my life. And it's not close. What says you? Where do you have them ranked in the division, in the conference, and then lastly, in the league? Close to where I have them? Am I tripping? Let me know. Leave it down in the comment section. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. We'll be back with another position group tomorrow, and we'll keep this party going. Maybe even one tonight. Who knows? We'll see. In any event, you guys have a good one. Take care. See you next time. Peace. LouieTeeNetwork.